The Walking Dead comic, number 3. Rick is united with his family and his wife lets him know they wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for Shane. Rick looks at Shane and says, I guess I owe you more than I'll ever be able to repay. Shane shows Rick the campsite and the people who reside there: Glenn, Alan, Donna, the twins Billy and Ben, Dale, Jim, Carol, and daughter Sophia, sisters Andrea and Amy. Nightfall, Rick and his wife Lori talk about what has happened and how they got to where they are at. Lori apologizes to Rick about leaving him behind. Rick stops her, saying, I understand the circumstance. I would have done the same for our son Carl. Rick then looks and points to the lone gunman keeping watch over the campsite, saying, is that enough? Lori explains that the creatures don't venture out to their campsite much often, that the most was 3 at a time, but it doesn't matter. Nobody at camp gets much sleep anyway and are ready to guard the camp. As Lori's explaining, Rick is shaking. Lori asks what's wrong. He explains for the past 2 days he was focused on finding her and his son. I haven't had time to be scared. Rick wakes up the next morning with his dear family by his side. As Rick walks out of the tent, he sees Shane. Shane tells Rick to take a shower in Dale's RV. As Rick steps out of the shower, the old man Dale was there to greet him and informs him that his friend Shane is not too thrilled that he is there, as he's been eyeing his wife. Rick doesn't pay attention to the nonsense. As Rick walks out of the RV, he sees his wife and Shane speaking. As he got close, Shane lets him know they are on hunting duty as they walk off. The women decide while the men hunt, they will wash the clothing and the teens watch the young kids. Donna is not thrilled with the gender roles, as men are the hunters and gatherers and the women are domestic caretakers, as they walk towards the pond to wash the clothing. As the kids are playing, the little girl hopes her dad comes back just like Carl's dad did, but he lets her know that her father is dead while his dad was just sick. That's how he was able to come and find him. As the little girl starts to lose hope. Rick and Shane, while hunting, they hear something. They go in to investigate. They find one of those creatures eating a deer raw. The women, while washing clothes, ask Lori how she met Rick. She explains it was at a New Year's party where she first met him, and since that day they never left each other's side. The women head back to camp. One of the dead spotted them as it moved closer to the women. The camp guard screams out to look out. As the women turned around, it was right in the back of them. The women ran as Donna was in shock and couldn't move. The camp guard was screaming out to move. Damn it, move! Dill came out of nowhere and was able to chop the head off the creature. As the head was laying on the floor, it kept moving as the campers looked in horror. Rick and Shane are still on hunting duty, deciding whether or not to steal the deer from the dead creature. It lunged at them. Rick puts an axe on the creature's head. They hear a gunshot coming from the camp. As they ran to the camp, Lori lets Rick know they are fine. They just shot the head of the dead creature because it kept moving. As Rick embraces Lori in his arms, Shane just stares, and you can't help wonder what is he thinking.